Welcome back. What I'm going to work on today, or try to troubleshoot today, is a differential whine, or what I think is a differential whine in the Europa G500. It's been there for a long time, probably at least a year and a half. I drove it out to Utah and back this way, and obviously it hasn't gotten better. So I'm trying to figure out where that comes from, and then I'm going to see how I can go about either repairing that or replacing larger parts that might be the source of the whine.
So now the truck's cold, everything's cold. Off acceleration. So I think there's two whines. There's one of which I believe is louder is the front diff, and then there's a secondary on D-cell, which is a higher pitch, which probably doesn't come across in the video. After about 70, it's definitely there. 60. I think it's quieter when all the components are colder. I've got the G up in the shop building now. So here's the front diff. My plan is to disconnect the front drive shaft here. On the transfer case side over here. I don't know if we can see it. Yeah. All these bolts and all those ones on the front flange. I want to remove the drive shaft and then lock the center. And then I'll drive with the shaft removed and the transfer case locked, which I think is going to remove the load that the pinion places on the ring gear. And then if it's an issue with that and the load causing the whine, that should disappear. And then we'll probably open up this case and see if we can see any damage or check the pattern on the teeth. I think that what happened is that obviously you can see from the mud and the dirt that this vehicle drives underwater in adverse conditions. So I think that water intruded into here and then broke down the gear oil and then caused a bearing failure or some sort of failure inside the diff. About a year ago, I pulled fluid out of here and it looked like mud water and not the liquid moly gear oil that I had put in here. So let me start to take the shaft down. So you probably can't see very well in the video, but I paint marked the drive shaft. And then I can't get any kind of wrench on here because the flange from the yoke is in the way. So I have to use the open end of these, unfortunately, which is gonna make putting any kind of specific torque on them more difficult. I thought I would get one of these flare fitting wrenches and I could get a better bite on it, but I really can't. It's also kind of miserable. But I'm gonna have to work with what I've got to work with. Well, I've finally got the drive shaft removed. It took a long time. One of the bolts here in the front stripped, and then I cut it out, and then I pried it and cut it and pried it, and then it came out. And then I tried to drop the drive shaft down, but it wouldn't clear this bar. So then I had to disconnect that, jack the truck, take the wheel off, break this tie rod end loose, and then it came down. And also on the other side, these bolts here on this flange, they don't come out because they hit the transfer case. So what I had to do here is just tighten them, and now they won't hit the transfer case when the truck drives. So I'm gonna clean up all the tools and then go for a ride, and we'll hopefully see, or we'll be able to see if the noise is still there or not. All right, so now we're locked, and we're gonna see what kind of noises we get at 60. I'm gonna mark the coast side also. So we'll get drive and coast. And then I'll look at that pattern when it's on both faces. All right, so that's the dry side and the coast side of 2. Let me get one more. I probably don't need one more. And then I also saw that you're supposed to spin it both ways. So we'll go this way. And then we'll go the other way. And then let's take a look at it. It does seem like it's too close to the root of the teeth. And then on the coast side, can we see it on the camera? See, I like that pattern on the coast side where it's nice and fat, but then the pattern on the drive side is like these little straight lines. So I don't know if that means something's worn. It's like too fine of a contact point, I would think, between the gears to get that kind of wear pattern. Because it should look, I think, like the patterns on the back side of these gears. On the coast side, I believe. This is an axle from a 2002 G500. I picked this up, obviously used. It allegedly has 111,000 miles on it. I spent a lot of time cleaning it. It was covered in grease because the wipe seals are failed. Now it looks nice and clean. I cleaned up some rust here. I went and priced out what a ring and pinion would be new with all the bearings associated and seals and whatnot. And it was about $1,300.
and then I would need to buy the special tools in order to set all that, and then I'd hope I did it right, having no experience doing that. So I elected to pick up a used front axle. I took this side apart to see what the condition of the CV boots were at 111,000 miles, and they are completely wasted. So when you buy a G-Wagon, even at 100,000 miles, and there's no service history for the front axle, you should pull this apart and inspect that, or at least budget in the $400, $500 in seals, plus who knows how many hours of labor a shop would charge you to pull this apart. I was hoping to get away with just replacing this wipe seal here, which is completely wasted, and then repack my kingpin bearings and replace the grease that's in this housing. But unfortunately, I'm going to be taking apart the entire wheel bearing assembly in here and replacing all of these gaskets and the boot, which is a royal pain to get over this little end here. So yeah, I got that job ahead of me. I've already done it once. I also thought about maybe just taking my axles out and then inserting them in here into this whole housing, but then I run the chance that the kingpin, the shims won't be the same, obviously, and I don't have the special tool to shim that. I don't know if I want to deal with that. So yeah, I got to figure out what I want to do. What I probably will do for a while is just put the diff back in and drive it. Seeing as how I drove it to Utah and back, it just gets louder. But I don't think that there's anything catastrophic going to happen. And if it does, I'll have this new axle. So I'll probably just take my time replacing the seals in this and the CV boots here for installation at some point in the future. Thanks for watching.